Thank you very much to Brendan Richardson for becoming a member of the Kinetic Rugby League channel, and thank you to Paul Hulk Wallace for upgrading his membership for the channel as well. If you'd like to become a member and support the work that I do, you can do for as little as £1 a month by clicking the join button below this video. But thank you to all members that support my content. But let's get on with the video. So it's that time again to get into my Super League Round 11 power rankings, and starting in 12th place and moving down 7 this week, I have Leigh Leopards. So starting with the bottom 3, I have Salford Red Devils, Huddersfield Giants and Castleford Tigers, all staying where they are for now. Salford put up 16 points of the weekend, which is their second best attacking result in Super League this season, so the extra week might have really helped with preparation and execution, as well as having Brierley and McDonald back in there, but they still conceded 48 points against a really poor Cast team. We all know the deal with Salford, but as long as they keep chipping away, keep working hard, hopefully they'll be rewarded very soon. Huddersfield held one of the best teams in the competition to just 4 points in the first half, and a lot of you will remember that Huddersfield won the first half in a lot of their first few games this season, so they do know how to start games, they just don't really know how to finish them, and I think in the next few weeks we'll see them become a tricky opponent for some teams in Super League, but for now they stay where they are in 11th. Castleford had their best attacking performance of the season versus Salford, which you'd hope for them, given the circumstances. I still think they're a team that can get into the back and forth grind with anybody, but that only seems to happen randomly for Cass, and we never know when it's coming. So you can't really knock them for beating a team that they're supposed to beat, or expected to beat, so obviously they won't be moving down, and they're still a decent way off the next group of teams, so Cass stay in 10th. Then we move on to the next group of 3. I'll call this the what's happening group, because I don't really know what's happening with these teams. So I have Catalans Dragons moving down 1, St Helens moving up 1, and Warrington Wolves moving down 1. All 3 are just weird to watch at the moment, full of potential with some top class talent, but all 3 seem incapable of recently putting together full 80-minute performances or a string of consistent performances together. Catalans Dragons might be the most disappointing in Super League, at least in my opinion anyway. They look so dull in attack, and defensively they might scramble well, but they end up dealing with so much pressure because they either can't kick very well or they just make mistakes in the middle third. They get trapped in their own end so easily. Then we move on to Saints, who were clearly the better team versus Catalans. That's obvious. I don't want to take too much away from Saints, but in my opinion, Saints weren't amazing. I think Catalans were just absolutely awful. I think Whitby has been a positive aspect for Saints going forwards though, and maybe Sailor on the wing could be a good fit going forward. So maybe Saints have figured out what they want to do with the spine, where they can put Sailor in to be effective. We will have to see over the next few weeks. Then we have Warrington Wolves, who cannot find any consistency. Yes, there are major injuries, I keep referring to those, but at a certain point, we have to do something other than getting it to Sneed as the first receiver and then giving it to Dufty out the back. It's so easy to read. There's such a lack of creativity in possession. Defensively, Warrington are poor. And up front, if Vaughan, Harrison and Musgrove aren't playing, Warrington is incapable of making any significant meters through the middle. Then we move on to the next group of 3, which is currently a step above that previous group, which includes Wakefield Trinity, Hull FC and Leigh Leopards. Wakefield were in full control against Warrington, so they switched places this week. They threw the ball around with pace and executed really well. They're another team that's been dealing with major injury issues this season, and they have what feels basically like a different lineup every single week at this point. But they carry the ball effectively against Warrington. They got so many quick play the ball, so many post-contact meters. It was unbelievable. And aside from the 2 moments where Warrington scored tries, they looked pretty comfortable and unshaken defensively. Hull FC have now lost 4 matches in a row. Now, they were given some credit previously because of the quality of opponent they were facing, losing to both Hull Kingston Rovers and Wigan in back-to-back games. They've also now lost to Leeds, who I think is a really solid opponent, but that loss to Huddersfield at Magic Weekend doesn't help. And as I said, that's 4 losses in a row. Their start versus Leeds was decent, and in terms of attack, they weren't that good to start with, but defensively I think they did a good job, and when Leeds had half a chance, they scrambled well to shut it down. I think Hull are still a tough team to beat. With the competition being so much tighter this year, they do actually need to start picking up those wins, even though they are coming up against tough opponents. But Hull FC, they'll move down 1 this week. But 3 of the Challenge Cup semi-finalists lost this weekend, but of those 3, Leigh were clearly the best performance. Now, the game versus Wigan looked like it could be getting away from them a little bit, could have got out of hand, but they kept working and they were rewarded as the game went on, getting it to a 1-score game towards the back end. But Wigan, with fresh bodies, were too strong towards the back end of it. And I think their forwards have been performing a lot better in recent weeks. I've criticised them maybe a month or so ago, but but I think the efforts and the carries, the effectiveness through the middle has looked a lot better. And once they build up that connection with Lamb, O'Brien and Armstrong again, with Armstrong having to take a few weeks out previously, they will hurt a lot of teams. But onto the top three, I have Leeds Rhinos, Hull Kingston Rovers and Wigan Warriors. Leeds are still clearly behind the top two, but as we've seen already this season, they know how to make it a tough day for both of those sides. Now, they didn't start particularly well against Hull FC at the weekend, but their resilience to stay in the game, chip away in attack to claw points back, and the effort to keep FC out when they were making the comeback was really professional. And the fact they executed in a high-pressure situation when they needed to score shows the character and quality that this team has. Now, they aren't perfect, but I think they're a trustworthy side this season. Hull Kingston Rovers in second have nilled their last two Super League opponents. They are only Salford and Huddersfield, but other teams have played those two sides and still conceded points, so good work from the Robins. Enjoy your free breakfast. Now, the most impressive thing about KR this season is how much control they have in games. Especially in recent weeks, they're constantly winning the field position battle and they suffocate teams every single week. I think they're really close to overtaking Wigan, but I think they kind of need Wigan to slip up at the moment. KR just need to keep up those consistent performances, keep controlling games, keep pinning teams back, but they just need Wigan to slip up soon. But on to the Wigan Warriors, they're still clearly the best performers to me as of right now, winning 6 in a row as well, which includes a win versus the Robins. We'll have to see how their performances go over the next few weeks, but they execute so well offensively, especially down the left-hand side, as we've known over the past couple of seasons. They know how to slow down the ruck enough to get away with it. They kick and chase extremely well too to pin teams back. Their only weakness or fault right now, I think, might be they've maybe let in a few too many errors creep into their game, as well as a little bit of ill discipline at times. But honestly, that's about it. Everything else about them looks to be at optimal performance right now. So there's not really much else I can fault Wigan on. So they stay in first. But there you have my Super League Round 11 power rankings. If you guys have your own list, let me know in the comment section down below. But as always, if you enjoyed it, feel free to leave a like. It does help to get the video out there to more people. Subscribe to stay up to date with more Kinetic Rugby League content. Maybe join the Kinetic Rugby League Discord. The invite link is in the description. And if you'd like to become a member, you can do for as little as £1 a month by clicking the join button below this video. But that's going to be it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.